We're standing on a farm in the north part of Oxford County, Zora Township, about 4 miles south of Perth border. And this farm has been in our operation for about 15 years. We've had some issues with this farm because of the slopes. Some of the problems we encountered, there were little rivulets of water running down on the slopes. They would accumulate in the bottom of the slope, and there's multiple slopes feeding into the main valley, if you like, and that valley would have the water would accumulate and wash a large volume of soil down through and cut quite a deep trench. It's topsoil leaving. It's leaving a cut that is very difficult to plant through and to work, and it also is causing an environmental problem in the water with nutrients leaving the farm, causing problems in Lake Erie and places like that. We have an obligation to look after our environment, and so we felt that we needed to put some structures in for our own benefit and also for the benefit of society as a whole and for water courses that are affected by it.
In dealing with a significant soil erosion problem in a field, it's important to have a systems approach in doing it. As you can see in this field here, they have cover crops, it's no-tilled, so there's reduced tillage, there's water and sediment control basin, erosion control structures, a good crop rotation to help improve the soil structure and help keep that soil in place.
So we've had to put in wash cobs, berms if you like, to control the water, dam the water up. We have Hickenbottoms that direct that water down into tile systems and take it off the field where it causes a lot less damage. We do no-till to leave lots of residue on the surface. That residue breaks down the impact of water hitting the soil, but also slows the soil movement across the soil when the water is moving. And then we use cover crops in between our regular crops as where we can. The roots do a lot of good in the soil, and they tie the soil up so that it doesn't move as well.
The risk of water erosion on cropland is dependent on several factors. It's the amount of and intensity of rainfall, the length and the steepness of slope. It's the soil material itself. Some are more erodible than others. And it's also to do with the erosion control features that the farmer has employed, but also on the cover based on the crops and how much of that land is being covered. What you see here is a very long, steep slope. We're dealing with a slope that's greater than 5%. This is a very erodible landscape. So soils that are loamy or silt loams or very fine sandy loams are highly erodible. Besides the nature of the soil material and the particle sizes in it, together we of course call that texture, is the structure of the soil, the form of it, and the strength of it. If the aggregates are quite stable, then this soil is much more resilient and resistant to erosion. So it's a combination of the particle sizes, which is called soil texture, and the quality of the aggregates that lead to the degree of resistance to erosion of a certain soil type.
I like what Gord Green's doing on this property here. I mean, he's looking at it from a systems approach. When he first came here, he's noticing the big cut through this low draw down through here. And that's what most farmers generally will identify first. That's their erosion problem. They see it, it's quite obvious. He dealt with that erosion first by installing these water and sediment control basins here. As you see, there's actually 3 of them down this cut to sort of step that water down slowly. So that slowed down the waters as going through that low draw, but he also probably was still seeing some rilling and some sheet type erosion coming off these side slopes, and is still feeding sediment and collecting in these low spots. So moving to the conservation tillage, the no-till, the strip till, and then moving into the cover crops for those roots could help to just keep that soil in place is the package that puts it all together, and so he can keep those losses down to a very sustainable rate. So at AgMap now, we have a tool that's online. It's embedded in our AgMap software that you can see. You just Google AgMaps for Ontario. And anywhere, any field in Ontario, you could map the sheet and rill erosion that's in the field. So we've got a map here for this particular field, and you can see the areas that are more prone to sheet and rill erosion. We can identify areas that are prone to gullying, and so that's where you'd want to put things like grass waterways or water and sediment control basins. So it gives you an ability to sort of plan things out a bit better. Gord, he's took 15 years, started with the Wascobs, looked at the agronomy. With the mapping tools today, we can start to figure out, well, yeah, is our agronomy going to cover a lot of this, or do we need some of these structural measures? So it gives us an ability to do some conservation planning on individual fields that we may see some erosion concerns on.